Alright, Andre, let's go ahead and get started. Sorry if I sound like crap. I am dealing with the stomach flu or something of the sort. Um, so, first things first is I'm just going to show you the program. And first thing I'm going to show you is the centipede itself, which I actually have the movements down for all the segments. Only thing I don't have is smooth rotation uh, with the head itself, which to me is one of those if time permits kind of thing. Just because if the it just doesn't smoothly rotate around. However, the actual movement itself is smooth and all that. So to me, it's really not a big deal. It's more or less kind of aesthetically pleasing kind of thing, but it won't hinder anything. Um, so I'll go ahead and walk through the code with you for that. Uh, So as you can see here, you create the body segments based on how many you want to create in the spawner that I created. Um, Goes through it, creates it from factory. I do have a factory for both the head and the body. And basically you just insert into a linked list kind of idea. Nothing more, nothing too fancy. Uh, as you can see here, I do actually also have the sound manager set up, just the way you showed us with the, I think it was a mixture of the command and strategy pattern, if I remember correctly. I had to mix them both up in order to get it, because you couldn't do it the exact same way as the score manager, uh, because you want to set all of the sound at the very beginning. You want to initialize all of them at one time because you don't want to have to constantly be reinitializing them. Uh, so this is the. Let's go down to the update first. This here, basically just every 8 frames, it checks, it gets the head state, and when you walk into this get head state, the get head state basically is telling the next, as long as it's not null, that there's going to be a change in direction, and it continuously tells it until there is until basically the very last segment. So it's pretty simple actually. And then here you just get the next state, and then you offset the position with the move offsets. Then obviously just set the position, that kind of thing. The body was even easier. Uh, the body does everything based on the head. So that's literally the entire update, is just moving and updating the position based on the offsets. Which actually I haven't tested. I don't even know if you would have to do that. I would think you would. But, and then here's the initialize. This comes from the factory as well. Basically just initializing each segment. And here you have the current segment. So basically as the loop goes through the for loop, right up here, it just goes through with the I. And I pass in I to offset it based on how far away it should be. So the next thing I will show you is going to be the splitting. The splitting I have pretty close. As you can see there, got the splitting pretty good. Some points it'll screw up. I believe it's when I like hit a head is when it really is bad. Trying to remember. Yeah, I believe it's when it's ahead that it really just kind of screws up everything. So I gotta basically reset the positioning and all that kind of thing, more or less tweak it, I would say. But for the most part, it's actually correct. Nothing too major with it. And then also the other thing I will show you is I do have these. I'll show you the sound manager, which is right here. As you can see, it's the sound. This is the sound base. So it basically just has a bunch of virtuals that allow the different sounds to be played by the sound manager itself. So, and then here's where you will actually play it. Is right here. Yep, right here. So then you just go in here, you get the instance, and then you play the beat based on which one you want to do, which is called inside of the critters themselves, which is going to be called right here. So this is where the sound manager calls. I don't have it stopping as of right now, I don't believe. I might for a few of them actually. Um, yes, I actually do for the flea. For the centipede, I do not, just because the centipede you have to keep track to make sure that everything with a centipede is destroyed and not just like one head kind of thing. So the next thing I'll show you is going to be the score. The score was even easier than the sound manager actually. Is this, wow, that's a horrible name for that. So here I will show you that the score does in fact do its job. I don't have it for mushrooms yet. I just haven't gotten around to it. I was more focusing on centipede, but as you can see down in the right, I have the total score is 200. I haven't done the HUD yet. The HUD is going to be coming. I'm hoping to have it done by tomorrow night, depending on how I'm feeling and how everything else goes. So, but it's actually fairly straightforward. Where is my flea? Sorry, I know this is long, but I want to make sure I show you everything. Flea, 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 flea. Yep. Not destroy. Right here. Yep, so basically, I have it in the collision with the bullet just because I don't want it to be reported when it goes off the screen. I don't want it to be marked down as, you know, saying, oh, destroyed, send the score. So you just have the send score function right here. It's going to hop into the command stack for the actual manager itself. And then after you go through all of that, let's go back in here. After that, you're going to actually process the scores. And within process the scores, you'll hop in here, you'll go into the stack, and you will start going from the top and popping everything that you want to process. And then within execute is where you're going to add the scores. Just go through here, and then I just have a simple total score plus equals value. Just basically incrementing whatever comes in at that point. For right now, I have the right line. I'll probably just have a output going to the HUD though to change the sprites and the text and all that. I'm trying to think of something else that I have done. The spawner, the sound, that bad boy. Nothing along those lines. Still have to do the player manager, wave, and HUD. However, for me, the big one was getting splitting because I feel like those other three I could knock out within about 3 or 4 days. So for me, the splitting was the biggest one. Yeah, I think that's about it. I did get factories for everything as well, outside of explosions. I just have to get the explosion factory, and I have to make a function for each individual critter as well, because each critter is gonna have their own explosion too. So sorry about the length of the video, but gotta get all out of the way.